Thank you both for being here. I mean, I'm excited that we can talk about this a little bit before we get into kind of our next upcoming concerts. I'm obviously excited about the partnership. We've been doing this for
our third year.
Our third year. I mean, I look back to the vision of, building this cathedral, which was now 7 years ago, and we really wanted to use the space for multiple reasons. Obviously, for our worshiping family to worship here, and then to invite the community to worship here, but to use the space also for the community. It's a wonderful acoustic. It's great for singing, for instruments, for violins, and now for organ, now that we have the pipe organ. So we've been excited to share the space with all sorts of groups. We've had many groups from FSU and independent groups wanting to do recitals here. I enjoy doing recitals here. And one of the partnerships that's come up as a result of this desire and vision was Javacya. And I think we met through a mutual friend a number of years ago. And I was excited that you guys could use the space. So you rehearse here weekly, and we've gotten to know each other over a few concerts and worship services that we've done together. I just love the fact that we share the love of Jesus together, and that kind of overrides everything that we do. Tell us a little bit about Javacya and the many decades you've been doing it.
Yes. Well, Javacya, this happens to be our 40th year. I'm not 40, of course, but I don't know how it came into existence. Javacya. Everybody asks, what is Javacya? Well, actually, Javacya is my middle name. Wow. My mother, someone gave her the name, and she never really knew what it meant, but she liked it and she kept it. And so I have the middle name, and my oldest child, I named her the same. And so I did some research on Java and then Sia, and it meant a sweet cup of coffee. I love coffee. That doesn't matter what continent I'm on. I'm going to find coffee. I have a Starbucks cup from Singapore, from Hong Kong, everywhere. I have Starbucks cups. But this relationship, this building is like a sweet cup of coffee. The coffee, that first sip in the morning. Being able to not only work together, but to love what you do together. And as Brother Chris said, and we do it because we also love God. And people say, what is God? Well, God is love. And so we love what we do. And we have, in the midst of this great cathedral and the relationships that we're building, that this ministry donates our rehearsal time every Sunday, our performance time. They donate that to us, and our children, our orchestra program, it's a free program. There are people that maybe can't afford to pay for it, but we keep it level. So everybody, when we raise money, everybody's on the same playing field. Nobody's paying anything. You just come to learn and to train. We are also collaborating to bring great music. And a mutual friend likes to say that we not only we have great music, but we have people from all over the city coming to see every concert. And sometimes you go to concerts in various cities, and you may have this cluster or that cluster. But one thing about the concerts here, people from all over the city every time.
Yeah, I think people are often very curious to the relationship, but also to just the space, because they don't necessarily feel comfortable to coming to a worship service because it isn't the style they worship in, or they're not sure what it is. But they'll show up for a concert, and then when they see that relationship happening, I think that speaks more than, of course, the building. I think that relationship speaks more than anything.
Yes, and then the orchestra. I love playing with you, Chris. Chris is a great organist, and we have the Javacya Orchestra, which consists of advancing students, graduate students, and professionals. It's a mentoring type orchestra where the younger students have a chance to sit next to someone who is older and has more experience. And so they know how to, when they go to camps, whether it be in London or Michigan, in Interlaken, they know the etiquette. No one can out-etiquette them, so to speak, when they choose to, children are children. But we love to accompany people. That's one of the experiences that students have at Javacya. And with Chris and the choir, we all work together. But then we have the luxury of accompanying wonderful people like Daryl Tukes, the renowned Daryl Tukes, who is an implant from New York, but first was here heading the music industry department at FAMU. I think you've been with us maybe 3 times.
Yeah, it's an amazing operation you have here. It's beautiful. I don't know if you know this about me, but I grew up staunchly Anglican. Yeah, our Mass at St. Michael.
That's why I like you.
How about that? So our Mass at St. Michael under the great Father David Brooks in Tallahassee when I was a little boy. Even though I was born in New York, I spent my childhood here. So when I came here and Mrs. Floyd here, my new friend Patrice, invited me to participate with you and Chris in this magnificent hall, I felt at home. Yeah, I felt home, back to my roots, back to my initial liturgy, and what acoustics you have here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
It's a very happy, pleasing space to do all sorts of things. And, you know, one of the things we don't openly talk about a lot is unity, and particularly racial unity. And it's interesting, having grown up in the North, it's not as much of the part of everyday conversation. And when I moved to the South, I lived in Knoxville for a while before I was in Philadelphia and then back here. And I saw kind of the real deepness of the divide that kind of I was ignorant to, living up in Western New York, where it's just not something that was everyday conversation. So, you know, anything that bridges that divide, even a small footbridge, because as they say, even in battle, all you need is one footbridge to bridge both sides, and then you can start bringing more and more over. And anything that we can do in that respect, you know, healing is a long way off, but you know, it starts with a conversation. It starts by being in the same room together and by worshiping together. I think that is a huge, huge thing.
I think that's what's so unique about our concert experiences here. There are people that would not sit next to each other, probably in a lot of settings, or would not have a reason to fellowship together. But when they come to hear music, that's one thing about music done out of it, the purity of music. That's a word that you use sometimes, the purity of music. It births unity. Nothing brings people together like music. It's a universal language. So it has been said that we have the most diverse activity that's going on in the city, more than once. And we're all working together in this unity. People say, well, this and that and this and that. This and that doesn't matter to me. It's what we do together. There are people who have never been to church. When my son played, the mad violinist, when he played here, he played all kinds of music. There were people who had never been to church. There are people who have different reasons for not coming to church. But when we have a concert, people show up because of the love of music. And I'm always taking up money sometimes doing the concerts. And so people are, you know, they talk to each other, or we have an intermission. People are talking to one another. And if you love, the love permeates the walls, and we are unified, doing a great work, and we're excited.
And so now we're kind of taking that, you know, even the next level with, you know, bringing in someone. I mean, obviously your son's world class, but Rachel is a champion of Black composer music, and she's obviously world class and has had quite a story. You know, for those who don't know, it's worth reading about, you know, the accident she had and her loss of so much physically, but how she's recovered and has this really a ministry to so many people around the world. And to bring her here I think is a huge thing.
Well, we're really excited about Rachel Barton Pine. Probably a lot of people don't agree with me. It's okay, but I like to say there's Itzhak and there's Rachel. And I tell my students in lessons, what excuse do you have when to me the 2 top violinists in the world are handicapped? But one of the things that Rachel's mission the last 15 years, being from Chicago, she was used to blues, you know, Chicago, the blues city, and she heard a lot of great music growing up. But in her travels, she has discovered 900 works, over 900 works by 350 Black composers. 900 works by over 350 Black composers. And the thing, Chris and Daryl, is that one of the things, she's bringing a lot of attention to it. It's great music. People say things like, well, what else is she playing on the concert? Or the piece that you're doing, this guy learned from Mozart. Chevalier St. George learned from Mozart. And Rachel will say, no, I know it's not so. Chevalier St. George was doing this, before. And one day we were so excited that she's doing this concert of African American composers, because it brings to the forefront something that is unknown. A lot of things were lost during slavery that people don't want to talk about. But this young man was Afro-French, and there's Afro-Swiss, and there's Afro-Cuban, there's all types. It's just a lot of different music that was lost. Just like there was a lot of things lost during the Holocaust. There are a lot of things lost. And so she's discovered, and it's fine music. Very challenging. And we're excited. So yes, it's a concert coming up. I mean, it does feature works by African composers of African descent, but it is just great music. And anybody who has never seen her play publicly, you are in for a treat.
And also part of that concert, Javacya Strings, the lead orchestra will be there. Mark Butler's FAMU choir, and FAMU choir is just absolutely amazing. What a wonderful choir. Our own St. Peter's choir will be joining them for one of Mark's piece, and for another piece as well. So it'll be a fabulous evening.
You're gonna be, listen, from the first note. There's a prelude. Some of the students are going to play some amazing solos where everybody's sitting there all antsy. And then you get ready. It's going to be amazing. It opens with the choir and orchestra. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's going to be amazing. This guy probably doesn't know he's going to sing something, but
no idea. But I do know that I heard the family choir here, Dr. Butler's choir. Wow.
Yeah, really.
In here, they sounded amazing. And I hear them practicing all the time. They sound great, but here they sounded amazing. They're on their way to Carnegie Hall, and I was able to secure a cathedral in New York for them to perform as well. But I can tell you something, they will not sound better than they sound here, because this place has the Holy Spirit in it. It's like Abbey Road. You could go to try to make a great studio, but the gods of studio making have just got to be with you, and you got it here. So when we have something magnificent like St. Peter's Cathedral, and we have talent of this magnificent level, it's wonderful to be able to share it the way we do. Let me tell you a couple of things that, because we have a chance, on a human level. Thank you for bringing up this cross-cultural racial question. For a few years, I was the only black boy and the first black boy in my class at Florida High. So 51 years ago, I'm the kid who integrated that. And when I left Tallahassee in the 70s, there were about 60,000 people living here. And when I returned in 2018, there's around 300,000 now. That's a huge change. And this place, as big as it is, I see as it's an oasis. It's a place of peace that's hard to describe. You walk in and you feel transported to some place that you don't want to leave. You're doing a great thing here, what you're doing together. I can tell you that I also resonate with this concert. My maternal grandmother, who was from Westchester, PA, was one of the founding singers with Hall Johnson. She was his featured contralto soloist. So I have pictures of her with Hall. She was a star of the Green Pastures, an all-black musical on Broadway that won the Pulitzer Prize. So to have that heritage in New York, and I spent all of my summers sitting next to her at the piano. And then my childhood, in the Jim Crow South, it's profound to return and to see this family here that you have, and to be a part of your extended family now, and to see how you're just drawing people in. I'm not surprised that you're bringing in Rachel Barton Pine. I wouldn't be surprised whoever you would bring in, because I just see that it's all about the spirit, and it's really beautiful. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you knew a little bit about the part behind the obvious. Yeah.
Every time we talk, we learn more about each other, don't we?
Yes, indeedy. Indeedy. Mm-hmm.